Mr. President, yesterday I went to the White House. It was really a great celebration. It was the World Series champion Chicago Cubs being recognized in the White House by our president from Illinois, Barack Obama. Of course, he's a White Sox fan, and he didn't apologize or change his stripes, but it was a great day of celebration. During the course of it, he said it was his last public event in the White House, and I came to realize that we're only days away from a new president and from President Obama leaving. I think back, Mr. President, to a memorable moment in my life, which most people wouldn't have remembered, but I'll never forget. It was July 27th, 2004. The place was Boston, Massachusetts. At the last minute, I was called on to introduce a friend of mine, a skinny lawyer and state senator from Illinois who was about to deliver the keynote address at the 2004 Democratic National Convention. His name was Barack Obama. I'd known him for several years. I knew he was an extraordinarily gifted politician, and I knew he was a very good person. I had seen him inspire many audiences back home, including some in the most unlikely places. I once saw him hold spellbound a group of blue-collar workers and farmers in Cairo, Illinois, a town which in the 1960s was completely devastated by racial tension and the presence of a local branch of the Ku Klux Klan. But even I was not prepared for the powerfully moving speech that Barack Obama gave after I introduced him in Boston. It's been quoted many times. He told us there's not a liberal America and a conservative America, there's the United States of America. There's not a black America and a white America and Latino America and Asian America, there's the United States of America. He went on to say, the pundits like to slice and dice our country into red states and blue states. Red states for Republicans, blue states for Democrats. But I've got news for them too. We worship an awesome God in the blue states, and we don't like federal agents poking around in our libraries in the red states. We coach Little League in the blue states, and yes, we've got some gay friends in the red states. There are patriots who opposed the war in Iraq, and there are patriots who supported the war in Iraq. He only spoke for 17 minutes at that Boston convention. 17 minutes. And in that time, he gave voice to what another tall, lanky lawyer from Illinois once called the better angels of our nature. He touched a longing deep within the hearts of millions of Americans who want to believe in the better angels, who wanted to believe in what Barack Obama called the audacity of hope, the audacity to believe that America, which had achieved so many miracles, was capable of even greater goodness. People inside the convention hall and millions outside who heard that speech all had the same reaction. I've seen America's future. I remember going back to Illinois a few days after that convention to campaign with Barack as he was running for the United States Senate. We went to the most unlikely downstate towns, DeKalb, Illinois, Freeport, Illinois. Huge crowds were coming in from adjoining states because they had seen him give this speech at the Democratic Convention. I knew that there was something special about him. His grandmother called him after he gave the speech, and she gave him some advice. You did well, she said. I just kind of worry about you. I hope you keep your head on straight. Good advice for all of us. A little over 4 years later, my friend, then the United States Senator from Illinois, was elected 44th president. On Inauguration Day 2009, 2 million Americans stood shoulder to shoulder outside on the mall near the Capitol Dome and cheered as the son of a father from Kenya and a mother from Kansas placed his hand on the family Bible of Abraham Lincoln and swore to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. For the last 8 years, President Barack Obama, First Lady Michelle Obama, their daughters Malia and Sasha, and first grandmother Marion Robinson have made their home in the White House. What an irony. They were living in a house originally built by slaves. The audacity of hope, the awe-inspiring strength of America to continually seek and stretch to be a more perfect union. Part of the miracle of America is also the peaceful transition of power from one president to the next. And as we prepare for the transition to a new president, we would do well to look back on the historic presidency of Barack Obama. He was elected and re-elected president, both times convincingly. His grandmother would be proud. He's not only kept his head on straight, he's held his head high and kept his priorities straight, even amidst often unprecedented, unyielding opposition and searing personal attacks. As First Lady Michelle Obama told us, the motto for the entire Obama family has been, when they go low, we go high. We've seen that grace in them time and again. President Obama is a profoundly good and decent man who has served America with dignity and integrity. He has been thoughtful, calm, and resolute, never rash or impulsive. He is a disciplined leader who has grappled honestly with the complex challenges facing America and the world, and he's delivered solutions that improve lives. In his farewell speech in Chicago, President Obama quoted the fictional hero Atticus Finch, reminding us, quote, "You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it." Putting himself in another person's shoes, seeing life through another person's eyes, and finding shared hopes is a lifelong habit and a special gift of this president. He has tried his level best to heal and unite our divided nation. His accomplishments are significant, and history will record many of them as profound. He was first elected at a time when America badly needed hope. President Obama inherited the greatest financial and economic crisis since the Great Depression. The country had lost more than 2 million jobs in the previous 4 months before he was sworn in. By Inauguration Day, the country's top 4 banks had lost half their value in less than a year. There was an urgent danger that not only the American economy would collapse, but the economy of the Western world was teetering in the balance. The American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, called the stimulus bill, saved the U.S. and global economy from a major crash, helped create conditions for recovery. Unemployment today is 4.9%. America has just seen the longest streak of private job creation in the nation's history. To borrow a phrase, thanks, Obama. Our friends across the aisle said, let the auto industry die. The Obama administration said, no way. They decided to place their bets on American manufacturing and workers instead. The Center for Automotive Research estimates the special bankruptcy process for General Motors and Chrysler saved at least 1.5 million American jobs. Detroit has posted record profits for 7 years in a row. Barack Obama would not give up on American auto workers or American auto companies, and it paid off. Predatory lending and other systematic abuses were the cancer at the heart of the great financial meltdown of 2008.
The senator's time's expired.
I ask consent for 5 additional minutes.
Is there objection? Is there objection? Without objection.
Thank you. Under this president, Congress passed the most comprehensive overhaul of financial regulations since the Great Depression, protecting consumers and taxpayers. President Obama inherited a budget hemorrhaging red ink. Under his watch, the budget deficit has fallen $1 trillion, despite record investments in education, green energy, broadband, high-speed rail, medical research, and other high-return priorities. He brought us the Affordable Care Act. I'm not going to dwell on it because I spoke on it before when the other senators were on the floor. There was a skit on Saturday Night Live last week that talked about, would the Republicans just be happy if we banned the word Obamacare? Can we stick with the Affordable Care Act since it's helping so many people? You sometimes think that's what this is all about. We've got to get rid of it because it has his name on it. Well, we shouldn't. We should reflect on the good that it's done and make sure we do nothing less in the future. The health insurance that costs are going down at fastest rate in 50 years. Medicare has an additional projected 10 years of solvency because of the Affordable Care Act. Numerous Republican governors, including Vice President-elect Mike Pence, have used Medicaid expansion and Obamacare to reduce the uninsured in their states. And the issue of climate, I'll defer to my friend from Rhode Island who stepped off the floor for the moment here. But when it comes to this, President Obama has taken climate change seriously. He does not view it as an unproven theory or a Chinese-authored hoax. He believes it's a fact. So do I. It's a threat to the existence of humanity, and we're running out of time to prevent a climate catastrophe. Americans built on the historic breakthrough at the 2015 UN Summit on Climate Change in Paris. When that summit ended, 195 countries joined the United States and agreed to lower greenhouse gases emissions. The president once told a group of young people, I refuse to condemn your generation and future generations to a planet that's beyond fixing. We have a safer and more secure America. This president brought troops home, massive numbers of troops who were dispatched around the world in harm's way. He understands we can't fix all of the world's problems. We learned that the hard way. He banned the use of torture. He's seen the withdrawal of the majority of U.S. troops in Iraq and Afghanistan. Al-Qaeda has been decimated, Osama bin Laden is history, and ISIS is on the run. Under President Obama, America led the successful global effort to conquer an Ebola epidemic in West Africa, and he helped preserve a democratic Ukraine despite the aggression of Vladimir Putin of Russia. He has restored normal relations with Cuba after 50 years of a failed policy. The President and John Kerry made a momentous diplomatic success with the Iran nuclear agreement to protect our friend and ally Israel and many other states in the Middle East. I just want to close by saying that his efforts in two areas are personal to me. Criminal justice reform. This president is determined to make sure that our sentencing laws are just. There are things going on now that are just indefensible. We are jailing people, imprisoning them for drug crimes for decades. Unacceptable. The president was determined to get this done. We did part of it. I hope we can do more. And finally, let me just say that this president, more than any, has really shown a caring for the Dreamers, a bill I introduced 16 years ago, so that those who came to the United States as children, through no fault of their own or undocumented, would get a chance. That was it. He put together DACA, an executive order, which gave them that chance. We've got to work now to protect these bright young people. I am so encouraged that Speaker Paul Ryan at the CNN town meeting last week acknowledged this and said he was willing to work to make sure we protected them. Barack Obama was the one who gave them this opportunity. Now it's up to us to follow through and give them a fair shake in life.